Yeah, that's bread and butter for me. So like we have decided to stay on bare metal because that's the whole idea of decentralization. You should be as much as independent as possible. I don't know if the listeners have seen the video from Hessner Data Center. It's like a big hall of like classical tower machines like running there, and there's no security. For me, it's not something I would say decentralized and also secure.
Welcome to the Bare Metal Podcast.
Hi, validators and stakers. This is Martin Vejmelka from Rockaway X Labs here on the Bare Metal Podcast, where we want to talk about technical topics related to validation. I'm here with our very own Tomas Eminger, the head of the Rockaway Info team. Welcome, Tomas.
Hello, guys. Hi.
So let's jump straight into the introduction and team. So my first question is, what was your path to becoming a validator, and what was the first chain you validated?
Yeah, so I have started with crypto in 2021, where there was a COVID lockdown, and I was thinking, yeah, what should I do? Because I have so much spare time spending it at home. So I have started with Ethereum, with mining. I have built my own like small rig with 5 graphics cards, have it at home, and like my wife was not happy with it because like it was doing a lot of noise and it was pretty warm. Then I have met Dushan from Rockaway, and he was asking for someone who can help him with running their node because at the time they had Solana validator for I don't know 6 or 7 months. So I said, okay, that might be interesting because like cryptocurrency might be the future, so I should jump on. And my first task there was to start an agoric validator for incentivized testing. So that was like my first real experience with crypto because like mining Ethereum is not like just the truth crypto, I would say. And then when we have moved to Terra, and like many chains were starting. So Ethereum, like proof of stake. What was next? Like Axelar, Agoric Mainnet, and many other Cosmos chains.
Yeah, sounds pretty exciting. So you started out actually proof of work mining, but then upgraded
Yeah,
to proof of stake.
right.
So how many blockchains do you validate these days?
Currently, it's a lot. Like on mainnet, it's roughly about 15 chains. It's like the three biggest ecosystem: Ethereum, Solana, and Agoric. And we are running also multiple RPC nodes for Ethereum rollups like Arbitrum or Polygon or Avalanche. So that's our main focus.
Providing public goods for the ecosystem. Good on you.
Yeah.
So what's the hardest part of being a validator?
For me, it's because I'm coming from the traditional world. I was running infrastructure for 20 years for a Web2 company. So like the hardest part in the beginning was like it's completely different. Like when you have your own server in your own data center or running some kind of website, if you do everything right, yeah, you're good. But like when I started doing blockchain, I was like, yeah, when I do everything right, but it still doesn't work because there are like many other chains or many other validators, so they have to do their work as well. So it was like a biggest change for me. It was like pretty hard like to understand like all the things. But currently, I think the biggest issue or like the toughest part is like there are so many blockchains, so you need to know like the specifics of like all of the systems are, for example, Ethereum, Solana, they are like completely different. So and also like gaining the knowledge because like I was used to googling, but right now if you google some error message from your validator and you put it into Google, you find nothing. So like my new Google is Discord search text, and also like Telegram. It's like biggest source of information.
Yeah, so switching between all these ecosystems and just like keeping abreast of everything is you'd say the major challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean that makes sense. This is the bare metal podcast, so I got to ask, what's bare metal to you? What do you think of as the bare metal, the gold standard validator rig?
Yeah, that's bread and butter for me. So like we have decided like to stay on bare metal because that's the whole idea of decentralization. You should be as much as independent as possible. So like you being dependent on like some kind of third parties, like a provider of cloud, which is like the worst, and also like being dependent on some provider like a Hetzner, which is running your node in some kind of data center, which is like, I don't know if the listeners have seen the video from Hessner Data Center. It's like a big hall of like classical tower machines like running there, and like there's no security. For me, it's not something I would say decentralized and also secure. So for me, it's a gold standard. And also, truth to be told, I think in bigger scale, it's much cheaper because, like, I personally cannot imagine like people running on cloud can be profitable if they don't have like a really huge stake.
Especially in this market. That's
Yes.
things are very rough right now, right? So let me dig a little bit deeper into your sort of like bare metal ethics or understanding, right? So if I rent a server in a good quality DC, it's a dedicated server, right? It's not a VPS. If I rent the whole thing and I just get I boot up a Linux and I install everything on it myself, is that bare metal or like do you disagree?
That's a good question. Technically, it's a bare metal, but for me, like that's not a standard I would like to be at, because like you don't own the hardware, so like the provider can go and like basically switch off the computer because it's not yours. You're just renting it from them, and like it happened. For example, on Hetzner, it happened. They just like turned off like those validators on a network level, and also for me, from the security perspective, I need to be like assure that like nobody can come to my validator and like do anything on a like physical level, because that
Right.
can easily happen.
Okay, I get it. So you're saying to really be bare metal, you have to buy your own hardware. Is that what you're saying?
I have to own it, right?
You have to own it. Okay. And so what's your setup if I zoom out? Uh, are you guys in one data center in multiple DCs? How do you allocate networks?
Yeah.
To machines. What's your strategy?
Currently, we have two data centers up and running, and third is currently in preparation. So yeah, today I have been in data center, like preparing like everything to have third data center. And like the model we are using is that we have one data center which is called like a master data center, where we have like a high availability solution on also on the hardware level. So we are using VMware Cloud, or like or cloud like VMware cluster. We just like 4 nodes, and like if some node goes down, like the others can like take it over. So that's like our solution in one data center, and the second data center we use like as a backup. So if everything goes wrong in the first data center, we are like moving to the second data center when we have like a spare machines, which can like start and be ready in a few minutes.
So do you guys practice that? I mean, once in a while you go and spin up a machine in the second DC just to make sure that you can make it in, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. What's your sort of target time?
Yes, we are not doing that like on a monthly basis, but like some time to time, like we try that. And when we were building the second data center, we have tried it. So we have like completely moved our whole infrastructure from one data center to the other.
All right, so we did like a test of everything. Just move the whole thing over and see if you
Yes.
can fail over everything, and if it will handle it.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's impressive. So, what do you use to monitor your nodes? Like, do you have a homegrown solution, or do you apply some sort of standard stack?
I would say it's standard stack with some homegrown stuff. And also we are using third parties. So for example, it's good to like not to be dependent just on your monitoring, and also we are using for some Cosmos based chains, we are using Discord, because they allow some of the projects are running monitoring in Discord, so we are using that. And obviously we have our own monitoring stack, which is our heart of everything is Isinga, which was like basically the same as Nagios, and Prometheus with Grafana, so we can see the logs and so on. And we are like building our own specific checks.
So you got your own alerting on top of Grafana. That makes sense. And are you hooked up via something like PagerDuty? Like, does it call into your phones if the alerts hit?
Yes, we are not using PagerDuty, but Opsgenie, which
Right.
is like from Atlassian stack, basically the same. And like, it's sometimes it's pretty rough. Like if in the middle of the night, like the phones go ringing, even though I have like silent mode, I have like a special permission for the Opsgenie application, and it starts ringing, and my Wi-Fi is sometimes pretty happy. Like when Solana goes down in the middle of the night, everybody's pretty happy.
Right. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Too often. So the setup as you describe it sounds it's intricate, right? It's like you've done a lot of work. You've set up this whole thing. You've got monitoring set up. You've got your alerting. What if someone wants to start and begin with bare metal? How obviously like getting to sort of this level takes some time. But what would your advice be to them if they want to start out? Right? If they haven't validated any blockchain, now they want to start and they want to do it right from the beginning. What should they do? What should they begin with?
That's a really good question, because like if your plan is to be a professional, like professional validator, you don't have any other chance, I would say, because like in the end, if you want to be like truly decentralized, you have to go for true decentralization or bare metal on your own DCs, on your own hardware. But it takes a lot of time. It takes also a lot of knowledge, because like you have to know like all the networking stuff, all the hardware stuff, DC stuff, and so on. So it's like a lot of stuff to do. Like you have to like buy your own routers. You have to set up the network, high availability, and so on. So if you would like to start going into the ecosystem, and like you don't have like big capital in your pocket, I would say just start with like some, I wouldn't say Hetzner, but like OVH or these like smaller providers, or maybe like your local provider in your city or in your country, which does have like dedicated servers. So that's the way you can start. But like if you start validating, I don't know, like 5 networks, it's definitely worth to switch like to bare metal and have your own reg, have your own connectivity, and so on and so on.
Okay, so you're saying sort of start gradually, and the concession you'd make for the starters is like you rent the hardware instead of going in and buying the whole thing. Just practice sort of running your own, running the node yourself, spinning it up, building up the monitoring and everything, and then maybe switching over to your own server, and then maybe switching to only colocation and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. But it takes a lot of time. You have to invest like also a lot of money to like build like stable infrastructure, like all the networking stuff. If you should use like enterprise level switches, routers, and so on, because like sometimes when there are some kind of DDoSes, it can, for us it was like 10 gigabits on Solana pretty easily, and if you are using some kind of 1G switch, it cannot withstand that kind of traffic. So you have to also invest into that. But later on, you can easily capitalize on that, because currently, in our setup, to start validating a new chain, it basically takes 2 hours, and most of the time is just installing and syncing the node.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so let's switch over to another topic that I think is really important, and that's security. So my first question is, of course, what's up with the keys? How do you guys manage secrets?
Like the rule we have, store as least amount of keys on the server itself. So if it's possible, and for example on Cosmos-based chains, it's pretty easy. We don't have any keys on the server, so we are using ledgers for like the validator account itself, and we are using TMKMS with UBHSM for the consensus key to sign the blocks. And also it's pretty important to have like a good backup, because like even though if you have like a tier 3 data center, and anything can happen, so you need to have like a backups in place also. So we are also using one like hot spare, which is like in one location, and we are also having like the seed phrases and so on, which are like split into many parts, and like at least some kind of number of people has to get together, like to restore that seed phrase.
Right. So they'll have to talk together to enact a multi-party computation to retrieve the seed phrase again. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What's your threat model of potential attacks? What are you most worried about? What do you guard against? What do you spend your time guarding against?
Yeah, definitely the DDoS. I think like the most obvious attack is DDoS. So we are using like in cooperation with our internet providers. They are having their like own DDoS solution. So we are like uh, pretty much covered there. And also like what we do is we expose at least a number of ports to the internet. So like if the validator node only has like just the peer-to-peer node, and also like in some installations we are not using also the Sentry node architecture for that.
Right, right. Makes sense. So has you mentioned that there was an attack over Solana? Has anybody attacked your nodes in Cosmos? You like with the with a high amount of traffic?
I'm not aware of that. Like I even I didn't get any
If
like
somebody attacked, you
notification.
didn't notice.
Yeah, there was like if there's some attack, I didn't notice, and also I didn't get any alert from the scrubbing center for DDoS attack.
Right, right. So must have been a weak one then, or no attacks.
There was like a small attack, like when Terra was collapsing, like there was like attack with transactions. There were like thousands
Okay,
transactions in the block, but like everything was working. So it has
right,
proved that like that the code can withstand like a huge amount of transactions.
right. That was the case when there were tons of transactions in each block, right? They were trying to get in, right? Yeah, I remember this was mentioned. So what about the Solana attack though? You mentioned it was sizable. You said that was 10 Gbps traffic.
Yes, it
So
was
it's
like because
Neuralink.
yeah, like we had at the time we had just a 10 gigabit link, so like it was capped at 10 gigabit. But some validators told me that they were having like 40 gigs of traffic, which is kind of crazy. And like the reason for that was like there was some minting of NFTs, and because of the architecture of the protocol at the time, it was like you just find the UDP, you just find the IP address of the validator, and you just send UDP traffic to there, which is pretty cheap. So like they were bombing the validator with the traffic, but that's not an issue today because like Solana has Quick, so like you can manage how much traffic you will get.
Right, right. So you guys did it take your node down or did you withstand it?
Yeah, we did withstand it without issues because like we are using like the nodes which have like 3 or 4 more power than it's recommended. So we are using nodes with 1 terabyte of memory, dual CPUs, and really good hard SSD drive or NVMe drive. So like we didn't have any issue with performance, but it was like times where like a lot of validators were unable to create a block because like they were overwhelmed with all the traffic and stuff happening. So it's not an issue for us because I'm always trying to go over the top, so to be prepared for the future and not to have to change the validator every year.
Right. But to clarify, you're not saying that was an attack on your node. You're just saying the network was spanned by people attempting to mint some sort of NFT collection.
But it was like we have to define what the attack is. If someone is trying to push like the 20,000 transaction through your node, is that attack or not?
Oh, I see. Okay, so they were targeting your node, like you were the block producer, and they were specifically
Yes.
trying to hit your node. Oh, I see. Okay, so it was targeted not specifically at you, but you were the block producer at the time. So
Yes.
they're trying to get the transactions into you. I understand. Right, right. Okay, interesting. So let's move to another topic, and that's stake. Obviously, stake super important for every validator. So my first, what do you do? How do you attract more stake? What do you do to get people to stake with you?
Yeah, I would say in the beginning it's hard to like attract stake this in these times, like because like the market is down, it's really hard. But what I'm trying to stay is true to our values, and that is decentralization and reliability. So we are running our nodes with 99.9, sometimes 99% of availability. So that's one thing. The second thing is to promote like the decentralization that we are running on our own bare metal server, which has like reduced the risk of some kind of third party dependency, and also like promote us. So For example, I was organizing a Gateway conference it was in May this year. So it was like a gathering of 500 cosmonauts here in Prague, and like the next one will be next year in April. So it's like to become visible and also like give back to the community, because I think it's really a must-have to give back. So then community can also can give you like some kind of stake.
Right. So how do you sort of, let's take like something that you built, that you do for the community. How do you get it out there? How do you showcase it? How does anybody know that the staking team has done something for the community, like built a public good, or made available RPC node? Where do you advertise it? Do you tweet it, or what? How do you?
Yeah, basically, if we are like using Twitter, because I think Twitter is like the best platform from crypto. So like Twitter is the must-have for us, and also like the conference itself. So show it will be we will have show like more information on the next conference. But like, yeah, Twitter is the place to go.
So that's where most of your activities is basically tweeting. So
Yes.
how much time do you have to actually do that? Do you guys tweet regularly? Do you pay attention to this, or is it just
Yeah.
running nodes?
We wish to like have time to tweet regularly, because like still like running the infrastructure itself, like because there are like almost every day there's an update of some kind of network. You have to like prepare for a new network and so on. So we don't have time for that. So basically what I'm doing, I'm tweeting if something like really interesting is happening, and it can like help the people to understand better. So for example, when Solana was down in September last year, I was tweeting about it and like killing the FUD, because like people were thinking, yeah, it went down and so on. So I was trying to explain what's happening and like show the real situation.
Right. So I guess that's really related to sort of the next area I have, which is community building. And I'm guessing from what you were saying, you're mostly focused on informing the community about important stuff, and basically focusing on Twitter. Do you guys participate on Discords and like talk to other
Yeah.
validators, like help them educate or something?
Yeah, I think we have like healthy network of relations with validators here in Europe. So like we are talking to each other, like sharing knowledge and like some kind of like sharing also like which network is good to validate and so on. I think here in Europe it's pretty healthy, I would say. So like talk to other, and like we are saying that we are friendly competition.
Right. So let's close with one last question that I have. How do you think about validating new chains? How would you pick a new chain to validate? What do you look for as a validator?
If the project will succeed, I think that's the like first point at which I look at, and if it makes sense, like if it's not like another variation of some kind of DEX or another variation on NFT, it has to have something unique to like also invest our time to that. And yeah, obviously in this time it's also like a profitability. So if it's a chain which doesn't have like potential to give you some money back, so it doesn't make sense to validate it. I have to say it because like that's true.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's fair. All right. So that was all I had. So thanks very much, Tomas, for coming to the podcast and sharing with us your experience. And hope to see you here soon again.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.